how important are macros? Do they matter? How much do they matter? How much should you spend time focusing on them? There's a lot of questions that I had when I started in regards to macronutrients, and I'm sure you do as well. So that's what we're talking about in today's episode. So strap in and get ready for episode 084. Let's go.
I've always been that skinny guy.
Why can't I gain muscle mass?
What do I do in the gym?
They said I'd always be skinny.
This is your complete source for how to gain lean muscle and break out of your skinny body. From nutrition to getting the most out of your workouts and everything in between. We know just how frustrating gaining muscle mass can be, but don't worry, we've got you covered. You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast. Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I'll be your host today. And before we dive into today's topic, if you have not already, head on over to bonestobulk.com, grab your free training. There's lots of other good stuff on there as well. You can listen to past episodes of the podcast. You can check out our brand new gear line that just launched. So if you like swag, if you just like t-shirts and other tank tops, stuff like that, head on over to bonestobulk.com because we just launched our whole new lineup of shirts, t-shirts. We even have a mug and hats. It's some good stuff. It is. You want to check it out. So head on over there, bonestobulk.com. You'll see gear. Click on that. And grab one of them for yourself. Grab one of them for somebody for Christmas. You know what to do. All right, so let's dive into macronutrients. So first off, if you're confused as to what the hell macronutrients are, because I know I was the first time I heard that phrase, it's literally just the breakdown of your calories. So what percentage comes from carbohydrates, what percentage comes from proteins, and what percentage comes from fats. Pretty easy. And all of our foods fall into one of those three categories. So for instance, if I pick up a container of yogurt from the store, it's going to say maybe 10 grams of protein. So that tells me that there's 40 calories because there's 4 calories per 1 gram of protein. So if there's 10 grams, it tells me there's 40 calories worth of protein in this 100-calorie container. So that means there's still 60 calories unaccounted for. Maybe there is 1 gram of fat. Well, 1 gram of fat contains 9 calories. So that puts the total at 49. So that means the remaining 51 calories from that container have to come from carbohydrates. So that's kind of how you structure, what you look at in your food. It's how nutrition labels are broken down. It's how they figure out what's in them and all that. So if you're kind of confused as to what macronutrients are, that is the answer. I mean, that is how nutrition labels are broken down. That's how everything comes to play as far as what you eat. And so it is important to have an idea of what your macronutrients are, especially if you have a specific goal for either weight loss, weight gain, whatever your goal is. You do need to have a good idea of what kind of foods you're consuming. Now, generally, we consume way too many overly processed carbohydrates. Now, if you know me, you know I do not like keto. I eat a lot of carbs. I believe that carbs are very healthy for us if you're eating the right kinds. That's right, the right kinds. So I'm not saying just go out and eat whatever carbs you want, but find the right kinds, find the healthy ones, whole wheat, complex carbohydrates. So how should your macros be broken down? What percentage of everything should you be taking in? Well, again, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. A lot of it does depend on your specific goals, your body type, how you respond to certain types of food. So it's hard for me to just sit here and give a blanket one for all, but I am going to give kind of a basic. All right, so let's break this down. I believe that as far as fat content, you should be consuming roughly 20 to 25% of your daily calories should come from fats. Now, ideally healthy fats, things like avocados, tree nuts, olive oil, etc. And then, so let's say 20% for kicks and giggles. So 20% comes from fats. Then the next 40% should come from protein. So 40% of calories in your entire day need to come from good protein sources. Those can also be things like tree nuts because they have a source of protein, low-fat milks or almond milk, lean meats like chicken, fish, turkey, all that is great sources of protein, eggs, egg whites. So you should be getting about 40% of your day from protein. Now, the remaining 40% should come from carbohydrates, but again, the right kinds of carbohydrates. So complex and whole wheat carbohydrates. When you're lifting, you need the energy from all of these things. All these things play a vital role in our energy, in our muscle development, in our muscle repair, in just the functioning of our daily bodies. Our actual dry cell structure is comprised of 90% of it is comprised of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, which are fats, and nucleic acids. That's like what are basically our cells at the most base level are made up of. And so those are the things that we require to maintain our health, to maintain our energy, and all that. And so, it can be overwhelming to think, well, how am I going to track all these macros? I have to, get an app and track every single thing I eat. And here's the deal. How important is your fitness to you? Are you ready to take it seriously? Are you ready to put in the work to have the body that you want, to have the energy that you want, to be able to accomplish whatever goal you have set forth? And yes, it is work. It's work tracking your calories. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, but it gets so easy to do. And I don't really tell people that you have to track calories forever. You don't. Take a month, 1 month of tracking calories. Sit down. You can, it's so easy to do now. Fitbit, MyFitnessPal, they all make great apps. There's even desktop applications you can do if you have time at work, you do it on a break. Like, there's so many different ways to do it. And it takes just a couple minutes to log it after each meal, or maybe 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day just to log it all. And you can see the breakdown. You don't have to sit there, okay, how much protein was in this? No, you type in what kind of food you eat, and it tells you how many calories that was and what the breakdown of the macros was. Like, you don't have to do any work other than type in what you ate. How easy is that? But I recommend doing this for a month because it really gives you a solid idea of what the hell is in your food. Because when I started, I didn't have a clue what was actually in food. There was foods that I thought were healthy, that people told me were healthy. And then, once I started tracking stuff and figuring out, well, there's this much of this in it, and this, I was like, wow, I had no idea. And so it was truly eye-opening. Now I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but if I go in the kitchen and grab something to eat, I know how much I'm pouring out. I know how many calories are in that. I know roughly how many grams of carbohydrates or proteins are, just because I've been doing it so long. And I'm not saying you have to get to that point or anything, but I'm saying to have a general understanding when you go to eat something of what's in it is going to benefit you for your long-term success, because the more you know, the more educated you are in this, and the better decisions then you can go out and make. So if you've never kept track of macros, do so for at least a month. And with that being said, I don't think that macros is the end all. For instance, let's say one day you get 50% protein and 30% carbs and 20% fat. And then the next day is 30% fat and 40% protein and 30% carbohydrates. Like, just because that varies a little bit from day to day, it's not the end of the world. So don't get completely hung up over that and thinking that, my macros have to be down to the percentage every single day, because unless you're eating the exact same foods, like 3 meals a day, all your snacks, everything exactly the same each day, it's going to have some variation, and that's okay. It's okay to have some variation. You don't have to worry about things being too out of whack. So again, just if I could encourage you, track your macros at least a month. I think your eyes are really going to be opened. All right, so that is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you would, please subscribe to this podcast. Whatever you're listening to on, please subscribe. Leave us a review or rating on iTunes, because that actually helps boost the show so that more people can listen to it. So I would really greatly appreciate that. With that being said, remember, no matter what anyone has told you, what things you've lied to yourself about or had told to you, like, you can overcome any obstacle in your way. You've got this.